some of the circumstances that you were going through. And then it's like when you got back to the house to find your shit was missing, it was like that we touched on that hurt again.
Yeah.
And you started cussing again. It's like the pain gets dirty almost like at your return to the house. The pain gets dirty. Do you know what I mean about dirty pain?
Yeah.
Like the judgments, that nigga, that motherfucker, they took my shit. You know, like the pain starts to get dirty. Does that have an effect on you? Just the like when you start to express that kind of pain.
Yeah, it's definitely something. It's one of those things that just pisses me off because it's like I know they didn't know what the fuck it was. They just blindly either threw it away or sold it.
Yep.
Just didn't give a fuck because it was my property, it was my shit. They didn't give a fuck that those books cost $40, $50, $60, some of them each. Like, them Pathfinder books weren't cheap. Those original fucking D&D 2.5 or 2, yeah, volume 2 and 3.5 are like, those are fucking ridiculous. Like, those are shits that I bought in the 90s growing up. Like, I started hustling, like, in fucking 4th grade. Back when we could, like, you could make money off of bringing candy to school and selling extra school supplies.
Did you do that freely? Like, did you have to, like, were you gonna get in trouble if you got caught doing that? Or
No.
Were you able to do that openly?
I mean, I did on the down low. It was like, I knew it wouldn't be good if the teacher knew I was undercutting the school store.
Right. Now that aspect, like, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I'm wondering if you catch yourself, like, it's almost like this thing with your brother. I'm wondering if there's still a part of you that feels like you have to operate with the potential of being shut down because this might be a disruption to what somebody else is doing. Like some authority might say, you don't get to do this. Do you still feel like there's that authority looking over your shoulder that might knock what you're doing?
I mean, not really. It's like, now I'm at the point where I don't give a fuck. Like, he can keep thinking his shit, but I'm gonna keep doing what I need to do to be productive, to get this money, however I'm gonna get this money. It's like, Midget's not complaining. She's not saying shit. She understands.
Exactly.
She understands what I'm doing and what I can be on YouTube. And it's another thing. It's like, I'm thinking about maybe using some of my computer money to get a cannabis box subscription so I can do a few unboxings.
What's that mean?
Unboxing videos. They're like one of the most popular things on YouTube because there's all these various subscription services like Loot Crate and XYZ. Like, there's the Dollar Shave Club. Like, they say you shaving supplies, grooming stuff. Like, there's so many of these, like, mystery boxes and shit programs these days. And one that's really popular on YouTube in my circle is the canna boxes. Like, various boxes where you open up and you get cannabis socks and various pipes and shit and accessories. So I'm thinking about maybe using $100 or so to get a couple subscription boxes.
And would you sell them?
No, it's you unbox them in videos on YouTube. They're really popular. I'm surprised you haven't heard of them, especially that you follow boxers and shit. Cause
I follow the boxing, like the sport of boxing.
Because there's one for like different fighting. Like there's a subscription box where they send you like boxing shit. Like there's so many different subscription boxes for whatever your varied interest is. There's a subscription box for you. I guarantee it.
Okay.
And yeah, so there's like 7 different ones for cannabis.
Okay.
So, and I watched a few, and I looked at a few services yesterday. Because, yeah, it might be worth it to just get like maybe a 6-month subscription for maybe like $200.
Hey, are you opposed to like applying for disability?
I applied. I tried.
Okay, yeah, everybody gets denied the first time. You know, you should call if you if the thought comes across later. You could call Greeny and Toomey, and they'll pretty much walk you through the whole process. It'll take forever, but the time's gonna go by anyway. And that I would give it another shot with them, and then they'll request all your medical records and everything, and you'll have I'm trying to think about I think with the trauma, and if you have any medical records, like I know sometimes you talk about like knee and hip pain. Are those in your medical, like your medical records?
Well, yeah, a lot of the pain that I'm having now from the shooting is in my records.
Yeah, I would really tell them that you were in the shooting, that you were an unfortunate. I wouldn't even say I was selling weed and got shot. I would just say I was a victim of a random shooting, which it was a random shooting, and just let them know about the complications that you have, and also talk about the trauma, PTSD diagnoses that you have, and they'll walk you through the rest of the paperwork. But I just want to touch on this just one more time, because you're actually doing a pretty good job of going back to things that make you that where you're relaxed and you feel competent. As I'm like trying to, as I make attempts sometimes to kind of talk about the impact of what's going on with your brother right now. When you were talking about getting back home, one of the things I noticed was it was almost like you, at one point in your description, there wasn't a difference between your possessions, all your personal property that was related to the things that you were interested in. There wasn't a difference between that being missing and sort of the disregard for the value of your property. There didn't seem to be a difference in how you referred to your possessions and yourself. It was almost like them disregarding your property was almost the same as disregarding you.
Yeah.
Is there a difference? Is there? Well, the first question isn't do they see a difference. I guess the first question is, do you see a difference between you and the property that had value? A difference between yourself and your possessions?
Not really.
Okay. So there's like a blending with the way they disregarded your property and yourself. Like there's no difference in how you identify with that, because you don't believe they make a distinction in how they identify with that. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the idea that they disregarded your personal space and your personal property is almost a symbol of how you feel identified. So that becomes your identity. Like there's an identity that somehow is related to, I could just be tossed away, dismissed, like treated as if I have no value. Is that an accepted part of your self-identification?
I don't know. It kind of feels like that when it comes to dealing with my brothers.
Okay. So, as a competent adult who is extremely capable, intelligent, as a competent adult, do you lose that sense of competency as it relates to being viewed by your brother? You lose that. You see how you lose that? You get caught up in the potential idea that they have about who you are, which is just a thought. That can't be you. That's like confusing a map and thinking you could run your hand from like China to Italy and you'd actually be there. Like you see what I'm saying? You see how that blending almost it actually causes you to lose your identity.
Mm,
What do you think?
I don't know. It's something to think about.
Yeah, I you know I I imagine it like when we get in situations that where we don't feel safe, that it's almost like we become that felt sense of insecurity. We actually become that. And I think that there's a competent part of you that's really good at things, but maybe this is about like just grieving that lost childhood, and just recognizing that your brother is still stuck in a certain place, and he ain't ever gonna come out of that place. I mean, he may come out of that place, but you can't. You don't have time to wait for him to come out of that place. You have like things in life that you'd like to experience, intentions you'd like to see through. But this this sort of blending of identity triggers, you know, the dirty pain. Then the protector comes out who will cuss a mug out, hang on to a knife. You better not come up in here. If I got you, I'm gonna hurt you first. You see?
No, not hurt you first, but if you put your hands on me.
Right. You're gonna defend yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like you a grown ass man. If you can't take some fucking words, if what I say about you being a shitty brother makes you mad enough that you want to hurt me, then you deserve to die, in my opinion. Like, it's me or you, and I'm definitely not gonna die. I'm not going down. I'm not taking an L. Not since I got shot.
Right. So I just want you to notice how that's an adaptation, and that adaptation has to do with it's never going to happen to me again, and it's never going to happen to me again is almost like being stuck, so that at certain times we're not present in the actual experience that's happening because our guardedness pulls us back to the past where we made the statement or we declared it's never going to happen to me again. You know, like you know what I mean? And the reason I'm back to this is I really want you to see your competence, your potential, and how you really don't need anything from your brother. Your brother is actually pretty vulnerable, and he just triggers some grief related to your childhood. Apart from that, he could probably use your well wishes and kind thoughts just for his struggle. You know, like you're not beneath him. That's what the blending does. Like somebody uses the N-word, and all of a sudden, African Americans can completely lose all of their competence, all of their integrity, their dignity, and they immediately become blended with a word, and it's almost like an historical wound, an historical woundedness that causes us to contract. You feel your contraction when your brother comes up versus expansion. That's not fair to you. That contraction is not fair to you. It really becomes an unfair burden on you that contracts you.
Yeah.
And being able to release that and expand, man, imagine, but again, the world could be a scary place, and maybe that contraction is preferred.
Damn. Sorry, that's just a lot to think about.
Okay, how so? Let's break it. Let's break it. You're sharp, man. I'm not buying this. You're really, really, really freaking sharp. Tell me about the lot. Just give me a part of it back, if that works for you. Just give me a part of what you're hearing me say back to me, so I kind of know where you're at with it.
Shit. I mean, yeah, there is something to it. It's like, yes, it pisses me off that my shit is just being so carelessly discarded and just forgot about. Like, shit that was important to me, shit that I spent money on, like, shit that I worked hard to make money for.
Right, right, right.
Like,
Now, hmm
shit that I did dirt to get money for pisses me off. Like, just how it was, like, so carelessly, like, taking my DVDs, fucking, I don't know what he did with my comics and all my other books and shit. Like, shit that's, like, today would be worth mad money. Like,
right.
shit that today, like, would be a nice fucking pretty penny.
hmm
Like, and then just shit that's like, man, I really love that movie. There's a reason I own that movie.
Is there a way you could, even without planning to purchase them, is there a way you could locate some of those things that were lost?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. But it's like all those monster manuals and Pathfinder books and shit, those things are like have gone to collector value already.
Okay, so
So it's gonna
it's
be
gonna
like
be more
more
expensive.
expensive. Things like
Yeah.
the Unbreakable DVD and the Lord of the Rings and Matrix movies, like
Uh-huh.
it's like I love the extra DVD content,
Uh-huh. So
like
what I'm saying is just locate them. Just locate them
yeah,
and see
and those
where they are.
things, some are gonna be more expensive than others, some are gonna be cheap,
Uh-huh. Right.
but it just sucks that I like have to rebuild a fucking collection because of
No.
other people's like ignorance and just carelessness about other people's shit. Of just like
So
I took this shit, I borrowed it without permission, and my ex-wife took it, kept everything when she kicked me out. And shit like that pisses me off. Shit like, oh, I just because I mean my fucking brothers like they move around a lot in the past, and they just move and leave shit.
uh can you recover the kid?
I don't know. It's very difficult dealing with a lost childhood.
Well, you had, I mean, in a sense, it was lost, right? It was lost in that it wasn't at home, with the fuzzy family. And in another sense, it was an adventure. I mean, from what you tell me, the way you navigated, I mean, even getting laid, and not that I'm encouraging that, but St. Joe's and the relational dynamics and the music and finding a group of sort of, I'm using the word fringe. It's probably a better word, like a fringe to peers to experience the world in a way that people who were kind of struggling to maintain status quo in the mainstream sort of didn't get this fringe pushback, this rebellious identity. I mean, again, fringe, rebellious. Those are probably not the best words, you know. You see what I mean? Like
Yeah.
your experience of your childhood was like a novel. It's like a novel around an African American kid's experience. People think of like Harlem, Chicago. They think of like really rough cities as these places where kids develop sort of these peer groups, these unhealthy peer groups. But right here in St. Louis Park, different parts of Minneapolis, there's this kid that's sort of having this very, very unique experience in Minneapolis. Minneapolis, and he's an African American kid. You know, and he's going to he's had to and there's this really complex gender formation and how an adolescent comes to terms with that, and then there is sort of this thing with a name and how you fit in with your supposed peer group. You see what I'm saying, man? Do you see the uniqueness in that story?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
So that's the kid that wants to be reintegrated with you, and but it's almost like he still needs it's his older brother's irrational and aggressive permission, which I think scares that kid into kind of blending with the comic books that were lost. So he's lost with the comic books. How about reintegrating that kid? Like updating him on like who you are today, what your relationship with midget is like today, and how your brothers are still very much in need of support. Just to kind of unblend yourself from that dirty pain that disrupts your creative process. I think, it's like a grief thing, but who knows, man? You never know. At some point, you might be able to manage coming across some of those childhood collectibles, I mean, you can't. It's at this point a long shot, but again, the time's gonna go by anyway. And as you develop and grow, and as you reintegrate that kid who had those adventures back into your adult self, you find a balance that I mean, that's gonna be a means of finding a balance that sort of waiting on your brothers to allow permission for it, to like waiting for your brothers to say, okay, 11-year-old TJ. You can come on out now. We apologize. That part ain't really gonna happen. Well, it's unfair to wait for that part to happen. And it's also unfair to blend your childhood with being dismissed as if you were a comic book. Or to look at your childhood as if you are now blended with this dismissed object. You're not. You're very, very, very present. Would it be taking a risk?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, there's some shit that I definitely know I need to let go and move past. But it's just, nah, it always comes back to when he wants to bring up something that he stole from me that looks like something I replaced.
Right.
Like the fucking mouse. Like, it looks like a mouse that he had. I had a mouse just like this one I have right now that fucking disappeared. Not just like, it was like striped and not wavy, but it's black and white mouse.
When he says it, he's saying it like he's taking ownership of it. Like, this
Like,
is mine. He's taking it from you again.
it's like I let him use and I asked for him back because my wired mouse stopped working. I was like, I need that back. And that was like when we were upstairs with Midget. And was like, and he like flipped out. Was like about to like fucking hit me then.
Because you asked for your mouse?
Yeah, it's like it's shit like that that just brings me back and just pisses me off all over again. It's like, here it is. I did something nice for you, so you could play your fucking Xbox shit.
Right.
And now that I actually need it back to do work, you got to get an attitude.
So what would you do if that was a person that you just casually knew and they showed that kind of disregard? What would you do as it related to a person like that?
I wouldn't ever talk to him again. Like, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like,
exactly. So what's the difference?
He's my fucking brother and he lives on our front porch.
Don't define it like that. He's still gonna be your brother, and he may still live on the front porch. You do not have to engage him in a way that exposes you to that kind of unfairness. I love every single one of my family members, every single one of them, and there's like 3 of them that I don't talk to. I mean, I'm not even angry or upset with them. I don't talk to them because it's just kind of a felt sense of disregard that I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to go to them and ask them to free me from that. So I've just kind of freed myself from it by saying, "Hey, it's not the way I want to engage with people." So I just value myself to the degree that I don't have any. I don't. I mean, I wish you well. I really do. I love you. You are my family. At the same time, there are some things that especially because you're older, there are some things between us that are just bigger than me, and I can't fix you because there is this element of you being big sister, right? So big sister isn't gonna let little pissy brother fix her. Right? So, and I'm not a little pissy brother. So I'm a grown man, and I'm competent, and I have value, and that's not how I want to experience my life, not how I want to experience the world. So, brother or not, sister or not, I have to have some protective distance from you because of my care and concern for you, and because of my recognition of my own goodness.
Yeah, that does seem like a better way to handle things.
Mm-hmm. He's still your brother. You are just not still his little brother. You're an adult. But you are in fact that kid. You were that kid. That kid still there's that kid is still. I mean, we're on a spectrum. You know, like imagine life just stretches us, and we don't lose our childhood parts. They just become sort of a part of the spectrum of who we are. The spectrum of development. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, so fuck, you gave me a lot to think about.
Okay, so let's get out of that for a minute and tell me a little bit about what's happening with you and Aria.
I don't know. I think we're hanging out today.
Oh, good, good.
I don't know if we're gonna record anything. I haven't put an episode together. I mean, I've put like pieces of episodes together, but and then there's the issue of we did a live stream with not a live stream, but we did a Facebook video call with one of my cousins, Travion.
Oh, cool. I was gonna ask you if you had that.
But there's some audio issues, so we might have to scrap that one. I don't know how she recorded it. I thought she was just doing a screen capture, but she might have just did an audio capture, which was not the right way to do it. Which is one of those things where it's like there's a lot that I'm constantly having to explain to her about doing YouTube shit. And it's like if you're going to record a video call, you do the screen capture, and I asked her could she do a screen capture because she can do it for gaming, and doing a screen capture for let's play videos or whatever you want to do, it's just recording your screen. It doesn't matter if you want to do a conference call or pirate a movie. You just got to capture your screen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so yeah, it's just recording that screen, making sure that's done right.
Right.
And recording with us in separate locations does try to make things difficult sometimes.
How's she been? What's her response been to keeping up with everything?
She misses her old job at Bondes. She fucking hates her vanilla job at Hy-Vee.
Yeah.
She just, and I get it. Hy-Vee's a vanilla job. It's like the money's good, but she's not enjoying it. She's not in love with the work. I mean, we talk almost every day, every other day online. It's like we communicate, we message. I mean, I mean, yeah, that never was taken off the table. It was just something I need to think about and reconsider given her family and her living situation these days. Like, just the messiness and the animals, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like, yeah, and it's like, I have allergies, and
right. Right. What time you guys plan on getting together?
I don't know. Usually she comes sometime after Midget goes to work.
Okay. Has your mom left already?
No, she doesn't leave till like 1:50, 1:45.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She doesn't have to be there till 3.
Okay. Yeah. Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're really sharp. I'm telling you. And I really don't. I would really try to use your giftedness. Don't sell yourself short. You don't need to. You know. You don't need to kind of conform to just going getting some hourly wage just for the sake of having an hourly wage. You can be creative and develop things and earn money with your giftedness. You know. You know what I mean? Just so stay focused on what you're doing and recognize that when you start to feel that, well, I'm calling it dirty pain. I don't know if that's okay to use that term. That's Resma Menaken's term. So when you feel that dirty pain, just know that that's that inner child who has the disbelief that he's been lost and thrown away, but he's not. Okay. So instead of allowing your brother to consume your energy when you get that trigger, just do the self-care of recognizing that little boy was not thrown away. And I'm wondering if once you sort of accept that kid again, for all the adventures he went on, non-judgmental about him, I'm wondering if that would even improve your communication and kind of the flow of your work with. I was going to say Aria, but it's Rachel.
Aria.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that would even make it more fun for you to be curious about some of her anxieties when it comes to working with the channel and sometimes her avoidance or maybe difficulty with focus or something like that. I'm wondering if that child part of you would have more fun with her, kind of easing the anxiety around performance and delivering things. And just allow you to be creative and expansive and see what happens, see what that process does.
No, that's a good idea, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that would be a good way to sort of shift your focus. Do you want me to send you an email with sort of some? I got two different people. One is a local guy, he's African American, and he has like what he calls the 5 anchors for getting out of what he would call dirty pain, and it really has. And there's another guy, Peter Levine, and he's got like these 9 steps. I could send you just a quick sort of summary, almost like an outline, just so you can have a look at it. You don't have to fully understand it. You have to do anything with it, but I think just looking at it, it might just start the process for you.
Yeah, no, send it.
Okay. So I'll email it to you. Probably a little about 1:30. I might be able to get to it.
Okay, yeah, no rush. It's not a whole lot I'm doing today other than I'm supposed to be listening to the podcast itself so I can be putting together segments that. So I'm supposed to listen to all my episodes and cut out or mark down segments for a best of episode.
Oh yeah, already? You got enough?
19 episodes.
Yeah. Okay.
Best of season 1.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. And then that'll help me get caught up because I look and I start feeling guilty. And once I get adjusted for kind of what you're talking about, then then I'll switch, to kind of checking out my own, the boxing guys. But there hasn't been any fights or anything, so I haven't even been on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because it's just a repeat of old information. There's nothing new happening with no fights coming up.
Yeah, and the podcast we're getting some traction around the web. Is just like, because since I've got us posted on more sites, especially Spotify.
Yeah.
It's like that helps so fucking much to bring ears to it.
Yeah. Do you have other people that tell people about where you are? They tell, hey, go check out Aria and TJ.
No, I haven't putting together any collabs with other YouTubers and podcasters. I've been trying to. There's because there's I had a homie AJ from the Mostly Normal podcast. They're another Minnesota podcast, and they're all about gaming and shit.
Hey, let me ask you this. I'm looking at the time here. I know I was a little late, but do you, with the computer stuff that you have, do you design logos?
I mean, I don't know. I used to have Photoshop on my computer, but mostly I'm a MS Paint Pro. Microsoft Paint Pro, like,
yeah,
that's what I make all the fucking thumbnails on.
Okay.
Yeah, or something like it, like Paint Z.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not using with anything too fancy these days. Not since my gaming computer, like that's one other thing that really pisses me off, because I built that computer for the sole purpose of playing games, recording those games, and editing videos. Before all this whole Let's Play Boom thing got big and shit.
Yep.
Before it got big, that was my plan with it back in 2008.
And what I'm telling you is you're going to have all that back.
Yeah, and that's what I'm working for, is like...
Yeah, it's coming back. It's coming back, and it's going to come back to you easier than it came to you the first time, because it's your second time with it. So it's coming back. But that's the other reason why I think you really want to focus your attention, your intentions on, just at least first locating them, and then is just gradually getting closer to getting them back, or getting some. But again, you want the kid to come back too, And I think it's all gonna work out for you, man. You just hang in there. Don't let that dirty pain drag you down and rob you of your best self. That's a distorted sense of self when you start to talk about the grief and loss things. If they're loss issues, then put them on a list and make plans to get those things back at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, hang in there. I'm gonna at least probably I'm gonna add what they call it, stalk your page later on to see what updates you have there, and hopefully I don't know when you're gonna get the summary or the best of episodes up on there. No pressure, but I'd be curious to see that.
Yeah, that's what I want to put together.
Yeah. Okay, and don't forget to call, or at least write down the number Greemy and Toomey, because they'll get that process started for you again too. So you have you got multiple irons on the fire.
Yeah, Greemy and Toomey, PLLC.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I know they do a lot of people that I've worked with that have been approved. They all went through them. I don't know anybody that's been approved that didn't go through them.
Yeah, I'm looking at their website. Social Security Disability Law Firm.
Yep, that's where you want to go.
Okay.
Even if it's temporary, because I think at some point you're gonna find your groove, and your creativeness is going to take you places.
Thank you. I really hope so.
Well, you gotta hold on to that. Now part of getting there is fully having a sense for your vulnerable parts, your competent parts, and not being too blended with any of them. Like still having the freedom of that spirit, you know, like the pen draws a bunch of different things, but the pen never becomes the drawing. The pen remains the pen that created the drawing. So there's a spirit in you that's creating what you're doing, and sometimes that spirit gets blended with certain parts or aspects of our life, and then we lose the independence of the pen because it gets lost in the distortions related to disruptions that kind of messed up what it was trying to create. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, man. Well, I appreciate you, brother, and always look forward to talking to you, man.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. I'm gonna look for that email, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so this is totally illegal, what I just did. I did not ask his permission to record this. That said, this is not going to go public on YouTube.